Hey everybody, this is Pete here, and what you're about to listen to is our bonus Oscar special for 2021. We'll be joined by our good friend Josh Clement, who was our guest for last year's Oscar special, and we'll be talking about the Oscar-nominated movies from the year 2020. Now keep in mind this is a bonus episode, and if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any of the other free platforms, you'll only be getting about half the conversation. The full episode will be over on our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/moviesthatmadeusgay. We'll be making the episode available for all tiers of our Patreon members, so there's a plus there. But the episode you're listening to now, we'll talk about the Oscar-nominated movies from 2020, our predictions on who's going to win, who we want to win, what we think might happen at this wacko ceremony that's going on. But the full episode on Patreon will be a lot longer and feature a lot more of our sparkling conversation. So once you're done listening here, head over to patreon.com and take a look at some of the tiers that we have to offer and all the bonus content that comes included. We're talking monthly newsletter, behind-the-scenes images, monthly bonus commentary track exclusive to Patreon subscribers, and so much more. But in the meantime, sit back, relax, and take a listen to our Oscar picks for 2021. I mean, you guys are our Oscar
We're
experts,
just like
man.
big old Oscar nerds. I think that we text 12 months out of the year about
Oscars,
which is like pretty next level.
And half the time we're dishing like in seriousness, and the other half we're like, "This is meaningless. This is silly. None of this makes sense."
It's fun to track it though, but
it's a game.
And that's the thing that you've really like nailed is that you really can't take any of it that serious. Like the Oscars are not really something that you should get too wound up about, especially when nominations come out and you see like one of your favorite performances have left. I think that it was Joe Reed on This Had Oscar Buzz described the Oscars like your disapproving parent. Okay, so we should probably talk a little bit about the ceremony. So this ceremony is being produced by Steven Soderbergh, which is very interesting because when you look at Steven Soderbergh's Oscar history, I mean, he got those 2 nominations for Traffic and Erin Brockovich. He won for Traffic, but everything post Traffic and Erin Brockovich, Steven Soderbergh really does not care about the Oscars. Like, he's never really had a movie of that level that they've really pushed for Oscar attention. So it's just so interesting that he's producing this ceremony.
But also the kicker this year, we're at a trade station.
Yes. It's going to be 2 locations, Union Station and the Dolby Theater, which I'm curious to see how they're going to do that.
Right. So something makes me think, Steven Soderbergh's recent style of being not full on experimental, but, more interested in kind of the quirky or even like, let them all talk this year. I'm going to go on a cruise ship and I'll set my movie there. Yeah. This feels like I'll give a shot at the Oscars because you know what? It's going to be different. It's going to be weird.
I've always wanted the direct live TV. So he just is up for that challenge.
But we always have that weird thing where they start talking about the ceremony and they keep in recent, things this month, they keep referring it to as it's going to be shot like a film.
Right, which I don't know what that means.
What?
Because it's still an award show when it comes down to it.
Right, so what does that mean? Yeah.
At least, I was going to say, at least this year, I'm not really seeing the conversation of a host and also ratings. Because I feel like that's just one of those things that the Oscar producers and ABC just have to resign to, that award shows are just not a big deal anymore with young people. Like, young people will maybe watch a clip of it on YouTube, but they will not sit down and watch the entire thing.
It's becoming very niche. And, not to say there aren't, the film Twitter and message boards that are still thriving and, Gold Derby and everything. But, I talk to people, my sister who's, 5.5 years younger than me, and there's very little interest in the show. Yeah. They'll still see movies, after the fact. They'll rent them. You have all your streaming. I think kids, there's very little interest in these kind of shows. I think it will become niche and perhaps streaming, And
it's like Oscars are probably pulling in decent numbers, but they're not numbers like what you saw in the 80s or in 98 when Titanic was nominated. So it's just one of those things that they just have to resign themselves to. This is going to be a niche thing, and we have to work with the audience that we have.
Right. The big blockbuster, we don't have that anymore. Whether it comes back, I'm not looking at you, Avatar 2.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be the movie that, like, saves moviegoing.
I'm sure. Make or break.
What is the release date for Avatar 2?
2022. I believe that first release date was 2019 or 2020 of when they first announced Avatar 2. And it just keep getting pushed. And I would imagine with the weird pandemic year, Jim Cameron is taking his sweet time editing that movie.
Don't hold it to it. I won't count your chickens.
Man, it would have been bizarre if Avatar would have won Best Picture over The Hurt Locker. I would have been curious to see what the legacy of that win would have been. Like, would just the Avatar backlash would have started sooner? I wonder just what kind of reputation that Best Picture win would have had if it would have won.
And just the personal conversation. There was so much talk about exes being up against each other.
I forgot about that.
Which in the grand scheme of things, I don't think either of them really cared.
No.
Right.
No.
Mm-hmm.
They were good.
Of course, we're talking about Catherine Bigelow when she won for The Hurt Locker. They were both nominated in Best Director with each other.
But I think it'll be interesting, with the Soderbergh producing of it all. I mean, are we going to have an opening on a train, all fancy, He's also worked with a lot of people. I was thinking back to like even Viola being in the conversation. He did Out of Sight and Solaris and
I was going to say
with her.
Viola, probably one of the first things I ever saw her in was Solaris.
Yeah, so has a long history with some of these nominees. Of course, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. Shot like a film. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so we'll go through some of the nominees now. Let's start in Best Actress, and what a very unique year this is for Best Actress. Of course, the nominees are Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Andra Day for The United States versus Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, Frances McDormand for Nomadland, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. This is a very unique year because every major precursor has gone to someone different, which I cannot think of a year that's ever been the case.
Right. I mean, Globe Day, Critics' Choice, Carrie, SAG was Viola, and BAFTA today was Frances. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a nail biter.
I kind of thought Vanessa Kirby was going to win the BAFTA. In a normal year, the BAFTA is the one that you really look out for of who's probably going to show up. It happened with Tilda Swinton for Michael Clayton. It happened with Olivia Colman. That typically is the award that you should really watch out for, because generally that might be for a close year of who wins it, but maybe not this year because the BAFTA nominees were so weird because they selected them with a jury that only two of them matched up.
Right. Yeah, and Carrie not even being there, or Viola.
Which is pretty shocking.
Or Andrew. Yeah. It's truly going to be just to pick anyone. I'm going to go with Carrie of who I think will win, but I don't know how deep that Viola support could go.
Yeah. And I mean, I agree with you. I think my pick is Carey Mulligan, who's going to win. But I also think Andra Day does have a big vocal fan base, too. So
yes.
I'd imagine that those three actresses, Carrie, Andra, and Viola, are very, very close.
Yeah, the Andra story is really interesting because apparently Lee Daniels didn't even want to meet with her initially, and it wasn't until he kind of sat down with her and, it all kind of connected. But to me, feelings of the movie aside, which I think is a bit wandering and messy, to show up in your first film role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like kind of what you were saying. Where's your Holocaust movie? Where's your ticking the boxes? But, you're gonna sing. You're gonna do all the own singing because you are a singer. You're gonna have sex scenes and get naked. You're gonna do the voice. It's like you're just gonna become her.
Yeah, it's a lot. But she did so well. And
she's really good.
It's almost disappointing because I wanted the movie to be so much better than it was. Does her performance carry it? Does it make seeing the movie, worth it overall? Yeah, because you should see what she's doing and what she's bringing to this role, because it is pretty amazing, like you said, for her first film. But the movie itself, do I want to watch it again? Probably not. Maybe select scenes of her singing.
Lee Daniels tends
you
to
weren't
be...
you weren't the Leslie Jordan. You didn't freak out. It's the first thing you see.
Oh
Wig,
my
wig.
God, wig! I was just like, is this a Ryan Murphy movie? What is going on here? I see a terrible wig in Leslie Jordan.
Lee Daniels tends to be very hit and miss with me. That I think he's kind of a hack. Moving on.
So that's a miss.
Kind of best actor. Chadwick Boseman kind of has this category locked up for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Other nominees: Riz Ahmed, Sound of Metal, loved that movie and that performance. Anthony Hopkins with The Father, we've talked a little bit about that. Gary Oldman and Mank, and Stephen Yeun for Minari. Very strong best actors here, or best actor year, and I feel like best actor is usually a bore.
I agree. Very strong. I mean, I think with Hopkins, Ahmed, and Boseman, you can really kind of walk away and maybe say these are probably career best performances.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which how often can we really say that? I think my personal vote would probably be Riz, although I think Hopkins is just extremely impressive using all the tools in the bag. Chadwick. I don't think it's a win because he's not with us. I think it's great work. I think there's something very primal that audiences may connect with at the end of that movie because it's somebody literally screaming at God, why?
Yeah.
And to know that he knew his time here was limited, I think makes it very heart-wrenching in that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Really impressive, but this category.
Has Riz Ahmed picked up any awards along the way so far, or have they all gone to Chadwick and Anthony Hopkins?
Well, they haven't done the Independent Film Spirit Awards. I have a feeling he's probably going to win that.
Yes, Hopkins picked up the BAFTA in this weird year today, but
that's a very BAFTA
otherwise
win.
It's been yeah. Otherwise it's not been all Chadwick, but yeah, sad.
So I think Chadwick is going to win. But my personal pick of the category is Sound of Metal with Riz Ahmed.
So great.
Yeah.
Best Supporting Actress, also very unique to this year because every single precursor was a different five.
Right. And I think there was a lot of question when Amanda Seyfried missed the SAG if she was going to come back or be replaced by a last-minute Jodie Foster in the Mauritanian, which was another benefiting from the late release, but it didn't add up to any nominations.
Also, Jodie Foster, kind of from what I've read, I have not seen the movie. It was sort of a lead performance that they put in supporting.
It's got a lot of screen time. I have seen it. But Tahar Rahim definitely dominates, but she's in a ton of it.
Jodie Foster was the surprise win at the Globes. Everyone was kind of shocked at that. It was a very cute moment with Jodie and her wife when she was accepting it in like her pajamas and her dogs. Very sweet moment.
Yeah, very sweet. I do think it's going to come down to Bakalova and Yoo Jung-yoon. I think Yoo Jung could take it. I think she's my personal favorite, and I think she will win. Glenn, this ain't it, girl.
No.
If it is, wow.
I mean, we all love Glenn, and we'll all cry if Glenn wins, just because. We have a heart, so we love Glenn Close, but I kind of want her to have that Susan Lucci legacy, though.
Right. Yeah, it'll be like way down the line. It should be her late 80s.
Maria Bakalova is the only one that got all of the major precursors too, which is very interesting. Because if you were in a normal year, you would not have pegged that performance to get all of those nominations. But she walks away with that movie. It's just like, it's sort of like she steals it. She's so good in it.
So good. It's risky. It's a bit of a deception too, because it's made to look like just real life, almost improv, but the script is, written by 9 writers.
Yeah.
So, to hit all these different beats and all the giant emotional arc she has to go through, dealing with real life people and Sasha, it's impressive.
And by the end of it, you're very moved by her story, that she kind of has this full circle of that she's becoming an independent woman. And it's also, it's a story about fathers and daughters too.
Yeah. Ultimately in the end, it kind of transcends the hot button, politics and, her Giuliani moment, it does for such a, kind of gross out comedy at points. It turns into something more real.
She could be the surprise upset for sweet South Korean grandma in a performance that I loved. It would be very deserving if she won.
A little Marissa Tomei-ish.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I feel like the Marissa Tomei of the category is probably Amanda Seyfried, a performance that was number 1 in the predictions a few months ago, but now has since gone to like number 4, number 5. I think that Amanda is really good in the movie, and that's a very respectable nomination.
Yes. Fincher's always a weird one. I'm a huge fan, but he always strikes it cold with people. And, I think he's such, so precise. Everything. I revisited Mank, which was a worthy revisit because once I realized it wasn't about the making of Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Once I realized it was about like the studio system of the time and the politics of the time, it was a really enjoyable watch. And Amanda was great. But there's something about Fincher. I don't, he strikes it cold with people. And I think it's just because it's great, but it's calculated and there's not, a giant, emotional outpouring in his movies.
And Fincher is one, too, that really doesn't care about Oscar. Like, he'll show up if he's nominated for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, but, like, he's not making movies to win Oscars. That's just not really David Fincher's gig.
Yeah. I mean, I saw him everywhere this season, but I think that benefited from being able to just sit on Zoom.
Yes.
And do all... I mean, he was out there for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But you can, be in your house, in your pajamas.
So, Best Supporting Actor, Sacha Baron Cohen for Trial of the Chicago 7, a movie that I have been meaning to get to and I just haven't pressed play on Netflix yet. Judas and the Black Messiah, I just missed on HBO Max, so I did not see that. Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, the surprise nomination of that morning, because from everything I've read, he is the lead of the movie, and voters really didn't know where to put him.
Who is the lead? Lakeith?
Lakeith is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's a quiet, complicated lead, which is always a weird thing with actors. They don't know what to do with the quiet lead.
Sure.
And I guess it's a thing with the Oscar ballot where, I've been told they're names and lines. So this is why you have a Keisha Castle-Hughes or a Kate Winslet situation where they flip where they're campaigned, because voters just put them where they want.
Yeah.
And so he strangely got more votes in supporting.
Oh, okay.
Wonder whose spot he took in supporting. May have been Alan Kim for Minari.
Yeah, that's very likely given the love for Minari. Yeah. He was such a cute boy.
He was very cute in that movie.
What award did he win recently?
He won the Critics' Choice for Young Actor.
Okay.
Yeah, crying on the camera. It was adorable.
That's what I was thinking of.
Paul Raci for Sound of Metal. He's really good in that movie. And this is kind of one of those actors that really rode the word-of-mouth buzz. That this was a small movie. It probably couldn't really campaign him in the way that studios normally do. He got that nomination because actors just really liked him in that movie, and it was just a very word-of-mouth performance. I love to see that happen.
The true supporting, basically the only one in the category that's truly supporting.
Sure.
And Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, a movie that was predicted for the major categories but did not get a lot of nominations.
Yeah, I think they're probably looking at a song. If we're gonna, speaking of denying the long-term losers,
we have to have that Diane Warren conversation.
There it is. I think Leslie could stand to win there against her, unless the feelings behind Diane are so strong that voters feel like she can't wait anymore.
Right.
Daniel Kaluuya is probably going to win for Judas and the Black Messiah. I really need to watch this movie. It's kind of a bummer that they took it off HBO. It was just kind of bad luck that on nomination morning, that is when it went off of HBO Max. But I need to track that down. It's probably going to be available for a cheaper rental soon, probably right after the ceremony.
Yeah, it's a powerful performance. It's absolutely nothing like, who Daniel Kaluuya is. It's just so far removed.
Daniel Kaluuya plays Sinister really well, as I remember from Widows.
Yeah, don't want to mess with him.
He's very versatile.
Great actor.
So he's probably going to win.
I'd be very happy with the win, actually, here.
Winning on a second nomination, that makes total sense. Kind of any other below-the-line categories that we want to talk about. It would be nice to see Emerald Fennell win for original screenplay.
Yeah. Her first directorial film, and, riding off of being a wicked Camilla on The Crown. She's had a year.
She's very charming in interviews. We just watched all of Promising Young Woman with the commentary.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be kind of a dud win if Aaron Sorkin does win it for Trial of the Chicago 7.
Yeah.
I think it'll be underwhelming if he wins.
I'm good with his Social Network win. I would love to see Emerald take it.
He already has one. He doesn't need another one. Best Adapted Screenplay, I feel like it's probably going to be Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. And Chloe Zhao probably is going to walk away with Best Director.
Yes, and
rightfully so.
Yeah, and if it takes the whole shebang, she walks away with 3 Oscars and trotting off to a Marvel movie.
Yeah. That's such an interesting choice that's her follow-up movie.
It's been done for a while, right?
It was supposed to be out, I think, in February, and then they moved it.
Chloe Zhao is directing The Eternals.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Chloe Zhao does this thing where she casts regular people who kind of are in the world of her movie and casts them in the movie. So
she didn't get that.
So look out for some real life superheroes in The Eternals, real life ancient aliens.
Who are some of Frances McDormand's friends in Nomadland?
The names of the characters.
Swanky.
I want to see Swanky show up in The Eternals. I want to see her in a Marvel movie.
Spot the non-actor.
Loved Swanky. Very cute.
Yeah, it'll be so interesting to see what she does with that, for sure.
So you were talking briefly about original song, and Leslie Odom Jr. is nominated for that song "Speak Now" from One Night in Miami, music and lyric by Sam Ashworth and Leslie Odom Jr. Very interesting.
It's also a weird original song year, that there was no big songs.
This Diane Warren song is from The Life Ahead.
Yes, this is the Sophia Loren Netflix movie. It's very random. In Italian, the first track on the credits song. I just don't remember it. Speak Now has a big place at the end of One Night in Miami,
right,
as the film closes. So I just don't know. Diane may have to keep waiting, like Glenn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's so interesting. Like if I was on Jeopardy or if the question was like, how many Oscars does Diane Warren have? I'd be like 7, 12. I don't know, a lot probably. Like I just kind of assume that she, composers. Like I just assume like a John Williams or something. She just has like shelves full of Academy Awards.
Her nominations, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now from Mannequin, Because You Loved Me, How Do I Live, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
These are all classics.
The song from Pearl Harbor, which was like the big ripoff of Titanic. Wow, yeah. But yeah, I feel like the one that she probably should have won for, maybe How Do I Live or I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, just because those songs were such huge moments in pop culture.
Yeah.
Iconic. I remember that Summer of Armageddon. I mean, you couldn't turn the radio without that thing playing.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Maybe 2 or 3 times it will play in the hour.
Yeah, and a band like Aerosmith, like picking up like a Diane Warren song and making it work, and it sounds like an Aerosmith song. So crazy. And yeah, the song from Mannequin. Oh my goodness.
She's great. I mean, if she doesn't win, she's going to keep chugging away like nobody's business. I think she had 3 songs in the conversation just this year.
Oh, wow.
I hope it happens for you, Diane.
Yeah, definitely.
We love you, Diane Warren. Costume, I think, is probably going to go to Anne Roth for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but the costumes in Emma were very beautiful, though.
Yes. Anne Roth is a legend.
Yeah. She who is her big actresses that she works? She works a lot with Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep.
Yes.
I think that she's sort of the go-to costumer.
There was a Pinocchio movie this year.
Yeah, it was a Roberto Benigni Pinocchio movie that somehow got like 2 nominations.
And not just that, Pete. We're going to have 3 Pinocchios in 3 years. Because the Guillermo del Toro one is this year for Netflix, stop motion, I believe. And then the live-action Tom Hanks one is filming right now.
Oh, for the love.
What is the Tom Hanks one? Is that the one that Robert Downey Jr. was pushing to get made with Disney?
It's the Disney, yeah.
Yeah, I think that Robert Downey Jr. sort of had a stake in that project for years.
Ah, yeah. This is Zemeckis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Because when I picture Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I picture Jiminy Cricket.
Of course, yes. Roberto Benigni making 2 Pinocchio movies.
Yes.
He had that weird Miramax Pinocchio movie around 2002.
Oh, my goodness.
This one is apparently just as freaky, but was received a lot better.
Okay. I feel like the 2002, I think they did it on How Did This Get Made? It's got some wild CGI in it. It is, yeah, it's
I
pretty
think they
crazy.
did the JTT one.
Was it the JTT one? Same thing.
Oh my God, the JTT
one. When you said Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I almost was thinking in my head, Jonathan Taylor Thomas is going to be in the Zemeckis
it's his
Pinocchio,
return.
his triumphant return to the property. Wow.
So that about does it with kind of all of the main categories.
Did you do Best Picture?
Do Best Picture, too. So nominees: The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of the Chicago 7. I feel like it's probably going to be Nomadland from just how I've been seeing how it's shaken down this award season.
Everything. I think anything else is an upset. It was a weird thing, like you were talking about with Amanda, that, on paper, in the summer, or even earlier, it was Mank.
Everyone assumed Mank was going to win.
Cool. Yep.
Yeah.
Once that went cool, it was Nomadland all the way. I think anything else is a surprise.
Mm-hmm. I think Mank will probably just win Best Production Design, and that's it.
Yep. Classic Once Upon a Time in Hollywood trajectory.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, at least Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I really loved Nomadland. I like Chloe Zhao. She seems like, from everything I've seen of her, like, at the Globes and, all these wins, she just seems like cool. You know what I mean? She just seems like a real ass person, that she's just like, this is how these are the movies I want to make. These are the stories I want to tell. This is how I'm going to do it. Talking about, working with Frances McDormand. She just seems fucking cool and, and fully deserving. Do we think, does Minari have any kind of like legs to stand on for Best Picture?
I mean, I think Minari is going to linger 1 through 3 in those voting slots. We talked about how they rank Best Picture winners last year. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to go to that episode, we go into it into more depth of when you want to win the category in a professional. What do they call the ballot? It's a preferred
Scantron.
Preferential ballot.
A preferential ballot. That's it.
So okay, say it again. Say preferential.
In a preferential ballot, I think that Minari is going to linger in the 1 through 3 spots, what you want in something like that. You don't want to be too polarizing, as you said last year.
I think it's lingering, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be the crazy upset. I could see it right there.
Also for upset, it's not like it's a major studio movie competing with a small independent movie. They're both independent movies. Like, they're both small movies, too.
Right.
So it's not like a La La Land and Moonlight situation.
Right.
Or the Hurt Locker
A24
versus Avatar.
Right. Yeah, smaller studios. And here we are. Searchlight turned Hulu. Best Picture winner, potentially. No,
do you think Netflix is just so pissed about that? That Netflix has had their eye on Best Picture for years, since like 2015, and Hulu just comes out of the gate, gets Nomadland, and wins the Best Picture.
Just the snatch. Yeah, mm-hmm. they got close for Roma, and they're ready now. They're going to have plenty to come this year, I'm sure.
Yeah. So for next year, West Side Story.
Two Ridley Scotts.
Two Ridley Scotts. One that was supposed to come out in 2020. That like The Duelist. What is it? No, The Duelist is his debut movie. The Last Duel. Yeah. With Matt Damon. A movie that's written by
Nicole
Hoffstetter, which is so weird.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes down with the female writer, because it involves a rape and the duel over basically what happened out of that.
And isn't what's her name from that Amazon show?
What's her name from that Amazon show?
Jodie Comer is the female.
Jodie Comer from Killing Eve.
Yes. That will be interesting. We obviously, like you mentioned, our Spielberg delay.
West Side Story. Wes Anderson. I
think he's aiming for Cannes. Take Two.
What is the Wes Anderson movie?
That is...
I'm not familiar with that at all.
The French Dispatch.
Okay.
Yeah,
and that was supposed to come out in July of 2020.
Yep. We got a new David O. Russell, Adam McKay... Your girl Kiki Dunst is with Jane Campion. That's
right.
Mm-hmm. Nightmare Alley, Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
Another Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, I think that's what's going to be interesting is another Joel Coen one with Francis and Denzel. It'll be interesting to see, are we really going to how are we going to cram? And, are we going to have another, small extension with people going back to the movies, or what are we, what's going to happen with the cramming here? Because so much was held.
Mm-hmm. I still don't think Dune is going to be an awards contender. It will get technical nominations, but I don't think you're going to be seeing that show up in Best Picture or Best Director.
Right. The musical theater kid in me, of course, is anxious that there are 5 musicals coming out now because of various delays. West Side Story mentioned, Dear Evan Hansen, In the Heights. Nice. I think there's a lot riding on that in June. It would be nice for some Latinx representation.
Yeah.
Tick, Tick, Boom with Andrew Garfield is Lin-Manuel's directorial debut. And, of course, the held and no release date yet. Everybody's talking about Jamie with some queer representation in there. So
I'm shocked that they held that they didn't put that in February.
Drop it on Hulu.
Was that was on BAFTA, right? That qualified for BAFTA, I think.
There was talk of that, but Fox has Hulu, right? So it's like, just drop it, people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We saw a trailer for, I believe the theatrical title is just The Heights, right? I think they dropped the for the theatrical. I think. I could be totally wrong. But we saw another trailer for that, and that was another one where I was just like, I feel like I saw the first trailer for this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was in college.
It's like that, the Saw reboot, that I just feel like we've been watching those trailers for a good
The Saw
year and a
reboot,
half.
I feel like I forgot about. What I'm waiting for, and I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't see this damn movie soon, is freaking Candyman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Justice for Candyman. Come on.
And they have some returning cast members, is that right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, we even watched Candyman to get prepped for it, all stoked.
Now we're going to have to revisit it again.
We didn't watch Farewell to the Flesh because I hear that Candyman 2 is not great. Or it kind of is like a soft reboot or whatever, but I think the first one is kind of where it's at. But yeah, we're still waiting on that one, man.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing because, we're in this weird space where people are returning to the theaters, but at the same time, we're still getting the weekly, pushing off a little bit. Mm-hmm. Tom Cruise was supposed to be our big, July 4th return, and now Top Gun has moved to the fall, and they've moved Mission 7 to next year. So, I guess we'll see how it all goes down.
Yeah.
Black Widow moved to July. That, I believe, was still May.
Oh, okay. So, kind of Cruella late May is kind of the big thing, I guess, for now.
Yeah, seems like it. I'm on board with Cruella. I don't care what
the new trailer looks fun.
Now those costumes, amazing,
right?
Are those aren't Ann Roth, are they? No,
no.
There's somebody big.
I like that it's set in London in the 70s, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, Emma Thompson, serving looks.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I think that just about wraps it up.
Yes,
I'm glad
it's been
that
a
we
strange
got.
year.
I'm glad that we got to do our Oscar episode.
I am too. It's been weird, but there's some light there at the end of the tunnel. A lot of things to get excited about coming, and I can just only hope for not so many delays.
And I mean,
Yes.
I love an Oscar year where the main categories are up in the air and no one knows for sure who's going to win. I love that shit. And you don't see it a lot. It's usually the same person that just ends up steamrolling most of the season.
Right. It's nice we'll be on the edge of our seat, especially in the actress, supporting actress categories. We're going to be, it's truly, I don't know, until the envelope.
Yeah, it's making it a little bit more fun going into the night to watch. Just be like, okay, what's going to be?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, thank you so much, Josh. We'll
Thank you,
have you back
guys.
on to talk about a movie sometime soon.
Yes.
Yeah, you can come back on, do a full episode, do a full deep dive into something fun, into another movie that made us gay. But until then, it's time to say goodbye. And thanks everybody for listening. This was so much fun.
Thanks for tuning into the bonus Oscar episode.
tuning in. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye. Bye, Josh.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the bonus Oscar episode, everybody. I hope you had fun. Now head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay for the full Oscar experience. Check out all the different tiers that we have and all the bonus content available. Maybe you choose one. Maybe you become a patron. And hey, you'll get the full Oscar episode plus so much more. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.